Hello and welcome back to module number 8. In this module, we are going to start with the standard library part 2, where we're going to talk about copy and inter tools in order for us to generate a more ability to control our data. But we need to start our conversation about alliances. And I'd like to thank you, the students who raised the question, and my mistake that did not address that in my notes, and I do apologize. So, alliances. What is it, alliances? And in computer science, we are often describe a data location in the memory that can access through different symbol names in the program. in Python, it's a little bit different. The storytelling is a little bit different. When we have two identifiers refer to the same variable, that's known as alliances, which means that alliances identify for existing variable that is creating using a form, which is we are calling it as identifier. So the idea here is that we are applying alliances using the built-in ID function, which return with a unique number of each variable. So most importantly, that any assignment of a value to the alliances identifier will break the alliances and create separate variable by the same name instead. So be careful with that, and I'll try to show you that. I know I should have run the code live, but it will take some time, and so I will instead I'm posting the code online. I'm trying to apply the code online. I'm working on it right now. I hope by at the end of the weekend you will see all the code on my GitHub account, and you will see all of it. So for the alliances, back to the alliances, assign a value to a new variable. In this case, I just decided a is equal 5, and we are going to create alliances with identifier when b is equal a. So to observe how they refer to the same variable, we will say print id of a and id of b. That will identify what's going on with the alliances. We can also create another alliances, c equal b, and then assign a new variable b slash. So the idea is if b is equal 3 and the observe of a and c are still the same variable but not b, print a and b and c, and you will see the effect of it and see what it is, how to do that. Again, the purpose here is, again, what do you do? How do you divide the data and the variables in order for you to display the result or display the analysis that you are looking at when you are applying Python. Back to today's module. We started to talk about Python standard library that usually have a lot of extensive support for regular expression. Regular expression usually is something that we can occur with a set of strings that can express as a set of string using a formal language. We will start with learning the syntax of a regular expression, and then we will see how can we use it, the re module, to compile and use regular expression object. Okay, so we are now beginning to see how we can apply that. The simple regular expression containing a single ordinary character is usually with the marks. So A, B, O, or even at. The character simply matches itself. there is regular expression defined in the set contain only the character itself, but it's also ability to have a longer character, example a word, or example at ABC 123. So the regular expression word simply define the set of contains the string word, and the regular expression at ABC 123 simply define the set that contains the string. So the only characters that are not match themselves are the special character or the meta characters. So in this case, the plus, the dollar sign, the star, the question mark, the quotation, and so on. The dot, the meta character matches any ordinary character except the new line character. So in this case, I can apply the A, the B, the C, even the dots, the three dots, or even only at the dollar sign. So those are the things that can be applied in order for us to fill it up with a set of data in order for you to do that. One thing that I would like to point out, in this set of A, as I said, A, apple, air, age, and also a new day data. So those are the things that you can embed it inside of it in order for it to hold up. The dollar meta characters match any strings that ends up with process sequence of the characters. So if you will see the ear dollar and with the quotation, the ear clean, Top Gear, etc. And the star meta characters matches 0 or any instances of proceeding regular expression. So again, look at the star in the B star character, how it will present. But note that the behavior here is the procedure of is a B because it's simplest possible procedure. And to reinforce grouping, we can use the rephrase of A and B and the quotation in order for us to apply that. So I hope that make more sense. Another meta character is the plus. Act like the multiplication, but expect it matches one or more instances of the procedure regular expression. So in this case, I can apply A and B plus in order for us to do that. And the last meta character that we need to talk about is the quotation mark, or the question mark, sorry. And it's either equal to 0 or one instances of the procedure regular expression. So I dare you to test yourself and see how it go about. Another meta character is the M, that specify the copies of previous regular expression that can be matched. And in this case, we are allowed to do that and apply that. We can also use the M and the N to specify a range from N to N copies of the previous expression, but we can also leave either argument out of unbounded end of the range. So it allowed us to open the field a little bit more and not to be so restrict with regard to the M and the N. When we have empty quotation, the meta characters are used to indicate a set of characters. List characters individual, create a range, a component of the set, and we can use also the escape as a special character of the set itself. example a slash minus z, and it will give me a set of premises that I can work with in order for us to fill out. Another one is the use of alteration, and in this case it represents a regular expression on the left side or the regular expression on the right side. So A or B, and so when I say hello or goodbye, it will give me ability to match up with other platforms in order for me to display. So this is a good indication how the system, how the Python be able to identify. So all of that ability to express any set of strings using only the star and quotation and the straight line of regular expression. So we definitely have to match some string into it in order for us to make sense. The use of regular expression, we first have to compile it. This creates basically an object which has a method of searching and matching. So when I use the read.compile patterns flags equal 0, the method compiles a regular expression pattern into the pattern of the object. There are, this is one example. There are plenty of other examples. So this is another example. So import re, the P is equal recompile, and I gave it some premises of 1 to 9 or 0 to 9. And I use the star with a premise in order for it to do that. And as you can see, it will come back to me and say the patterns object at 0x. Some of the available compile flags is I, S, and M. So in the case of the I, it's ignore the case. In the case of the S, the dot meta characters also match a new line. In the case of the M, the meta characters and the $ meta characters match not only for the beginning and the end of the strings, but the beginning and the end of each new line by the portion of the string itself. When you use a straight line, it separates the select compile flags. So what kind of a string does the following compile patterns in the object match? And again, try to run it, see what it will give it to you. So a little bit a quick note on about the regular expression comes from the fact that we express regular expression patterns as a string. So one of the things that we have to again be aware of, and when we write those ideas into the code itself, we need to build in a special characters for a regular expression. And in this case, the slash line, which allowed us allow us special forms. However, in that case, a special meaning in Python is a string. So we can create a regular expression to match the string, example, temporary text, and we can apply the lines in order for us to escape the special characters or provide the string, the Python string, ability to interpret it as temporary text because they escape characters. So this is the structure, the grammar that we use in order for us to apply that. To avoid, and this is really important, to avoid premises issue, we can express our regular expression as a raw string by simply applying the quotation to the front. So in this case, I did not apply it in both sides, only in one side, but I did it with a slash dot slash slash temp slash dot text, and much better. It will, because of a raw string data, Python will not try to interpret the special characters before passing the string into a compile methods. So using the re.compile method, we can create a pattern in the object out of a raw string representing a regular expression. So the first object method we will cover is a match. Basically is a string method. And the match is that determines if the regular expression matches the beginning of the string. So let's see it as an example, a real example with a code. I color it just to show you that the idea behind it. So we are using the match method to determine if the regular expression matches the beginning of a string. Now the creation of the match object, when there is a match, what does the p match return when the string does not match? And in this case, it will give us return. I want you to try it. I have the issue with giving everything, so I would like you to ask that you will do that and see what it will give up in return and see if it makes sense. Note that the following two codes are basically equivalent. Compiling your regular expression into patterns object is something that we can do, especially when a regular expression is used in multiple times throughout the execution of the program itself. So again, I use the p equal compile, and I use it the re.match to see if it is. And so try it and see what it is. The search string methods scan the string looking for any instances where the regular expression can be matched. So again, I change my number office and see if I will be there, or what is the Python regular expressions met on not met. As we saw, the match and the search method return a match object. The match object have many methods for assessing information about the match string. This is really important, especially to our field, which is information science. Or data science, we often like to see the matches if it actually have the ability to do that. So the matches object always evaluate to be true, so you can use the return value of the match on the search method to perform a Boolean test of whether there was a match or not. The first important match method we need to know is group. That is the function returning the subgroup to the match. So I'm leaving the quotation empty, and it will create a meta character using the subgroup. And so the entire match is always 0, which is a subgroup that are giving the identifier of 1, 2, 3, etc. in order. So again, I compile with a set of data, and again, they are with empty quotes and the $sign, and I will do a match if this book costs $10.95. And again, this is how it will work in order for me to do that. So in this case, I'm running the function group, and it will tell me that it will cost $10.95. And if I will add two sets, 1 and 2, again, it will come back to me with those two values. And if I will say m.grooves with an S, it will turn all the groups that as a triple in this case. You can identify subgroup by keywords rather than the index. This is using the following functions: question mark, p smaller than group underscore name, and re, and you consider the following example. In this case, this is what I did in order for me to apply and evaluate. I also can, as I said, the use of meta characters such as star, plus, question marks, and empty character quotation also give me the ability to do that. And again, this is an example of how to apply and how to implement those things. So one of the things that it is usually there are additional methods. This is not the only methods. And what I did was I gave you a link inside the PowerPoint to go to the Python textbook that is online, enable you to do that. For example, there is an example application using a regular expression. We will be attempting the baby names exercise, and we will see how to encourage you to read the write up and suggest step for solving the problem. However, be able to develop incrementally is incredibly important skill, and I want you to keep that in mind. So the idea here, this is the baby example, and it are taken for Google for education. And one of the things that they do quite well is the summary will look like that. And in part 2, it will look like that. So they introduce to you again the idea of a string, the idea of a list and sorting, and ability to utilize it in a Python environment. Okay, now we are taking a step further, and we are taking the step further with regard to copy. When the idea of a copy is the module provide the method necessary to create copies of the Python object. Before we will continue, there is a really important issue to need to clarify in order for me to continue. So the Python performs argument by creating a blind between a name and an object. A name can be my list or sum of the squares. An object is a list of object or a function of object. So in this example, we are creating a copy of X. We are creating another name binding to the same object that holds 2. So in this case, X is equal to Y is equal to X, and I will leave it in blank of 2, and it will copy the X. So usually or universally, however, we use the copy method, which will return to the copy of the object beyond the name of X, allowing to create a new compound of the list. I want just to make a note for a second. I created for all those examples, for if you do not follow my instructions on the PowerPoint, I gave you an example on the canvas, and I also created in my GitHub, I created the Python class. I just finished up the first one, which is part of the assignment. But again, this is part of my example of aliens. And you will see that I just paste and copy and paste the code itself, so you will be able to do that. So it will give you a key reference in order for you to focus on the subject instead of searching it for the web. So back to the idea of a copy. We can start with making changes to the compound structure. As we can see, y hold a container of 0, which is equal 1, does not affect of the original. And so in this case, I will make a copy of x, and I will make a z, another component of x. So if I will ask it what is the value of it, he will give me the value that it was taken by compiling the x and compiling the value of it, even though we are trying to make copy of it. So the copy is a more it's like not a real copy as you see it. It's a reflection of the data set that you do that. So to create a true copy, you can use copy.deepCopyX, a method which resolves copies of the object x. And again, I want you to pay attention to it, because one of the things that we often counter is that we think of copy as a direct. In Python, we do not have that direct access, and as a result, we need to be sure that we follow some procedure, and this is the procedure that I want you to follow. Notice that the modification of the nest object, we do not reflect on the original. This is because of the nest object are copies of the original nest object. Behind the scene, what's going on is that it makes the use of the code y equal x dot underscore copy underscore with the empty premises. And again, so you will be able to copy a module with a customized class just for the implementation in order for you to apply that. So this is part 1. The part 2 is a little bit more advanced, and this is the intertools ability. So the intertools is a module that inspired by a functional language, and it is the idea that the methods are fast and the memory efficient, and together form iterator algebra for constructing specialized tools, integrals. So let's start with the idea what it is and how to generate it. And it's come from the idea what it is. So intertools.count, it starts from 0 and step by 1. It creates values that return eventually space values starting with the start. And when we do intertools.circle, create recreate number, returning elements from and saving it as a copy for each. When the irrelate is execute, the return elements of the save repeated are copied and repeated indefinitely. So those are the things that we are often encounter in that. In your assignment, just a note kick. In your assignment, one of the things that you are being asked to do, and I want you to pay attention to it, you're going to create your own data set. And I gave you an example of interpol.com. And if the 1000 and n is 1000, print n. And what I want you to do, the compound of the copy and recopy, plus 4 types of different type of intertour, which is import, init, circle, and repeat, as I'm going to demonstrate that into the PowerPoint presentation. So everything will match up. So import interpol, I will say for I, the interpol counts 10 to 1, print the I. If it will break, it will do that. If I will say counter 0, it will say again, and I will add the circle 1, 2, and 3. It will repeat that in that order. I can use also text in it, and I can repeat the high, and it will repeat high 5 times as I outlined. We can have a chain, the ability to have a chain of all the chain that we can embed in it. We can also use the izip, which create or suggest elements from each of the other factors that affect that. And we can use the IMAP as part of the intertools, which create that compute the function using the arguments for each of the variables that inside. So if a function set is nope, then the iport returns with the arguments as a triple. I hope it makes sense. So let's take an example from Interpol import, and I will say what it is. And I will also use the idea how I apply that. So Interpol's import, and I will use the star from I in izip. I will say I want those following values, A, B, and C, and I want numerical values, 1, 2, and 3. And I will ask to print. Eventually, it will come up and say A1, B2, C3. I can play with that. I can have range and I can have format. And again, this is something that we can apply. In this case, how to do that. I can use the IMAP, and I can use it in order for me to show to show the repeat, or the range and the repeat in order for me to do that. And again, this is how to do that. I list out other combination that you might look at, or other generation that you might look at, and I want you to become familiar. Maybe it will help you in your final project, or maybe it will help you to understand what it is. I think the last argument is that the order of the arrange of the object. For example, 3, 1, 2, 4 is one possible of the digit of 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we can use that in the following order. The intertools import, I will lay out how I want to sort it, and I will import the string in order for me to apply, and I will write the definition for an if, and I will also end up with an if in order for me to do that. And again, this is the idea behind it. I'll upload a little bit more information about that later on today, but this is the idea, what I want you to go over. I highly encourage you to listen to the talk by Ted Butler, Look Like a Native, while it is iterator generator, giving in one of the largest conference in Python. It's called PyCon 13, and it's a really good talk. Maybe he will be more convincing than I am, and I think this will give you idea what it is. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoy it. I hope that I was more straightforward, as I promised I would be. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to email me. And until next time, have fun. Whew.